A basketballer called James Johnson in the NBA, a basketball star, says that he can defeat Jon Jones, the greatest mixed martial artist that ever lived, in a fight. That is correct. A basketballer, granted, 6'8". He's a very big man, very big man. He dribbles balls, he puts them in baskets, and he can defeat the greatest mixed martial artist that ever lived. Hold on, if you want to know what I'm talking about, take a look at this.
I think I could beat him for real. But like I said, with a year of training defense, I just need ground defense.
I think the scary thing, because we're big athletes, it's like, okay, JJ can move how you move, and he's 6'8". Right. That's the scary part, like where, okay, he can do everything you do, and he's 6'8". Like, that's where the big difference comes in.
Yeah, and the opposite is, he started learning how to use your hands and your feet, after college? Like, I've been punching and kicking since I was 5-6 years old. So like the same thing for me though is the opposite for him, because he been wrestling for that long, learning all his wrestling moves and things like that for that long. For me, you know what I mean, I started learning the wrestling game and all that in middle school, the jiu-jitsu. You know, he has a big advantage there because no one wants to get on the floor, but as long as I can keep him from going on the floor, I win.
As long as he can keep him from going on the floor, he wins the fight. And listen, it's different. I'm 6'8", bro. I'm a badass. I've done a little bit of amateur martial arts. All I got to do is learn how to stop a takedown. I've just got to learn wrestling. It's that easy. Give me a year. Give me a fucking break. That's what we really need right here, because, listen, this James Johnson, I'm sure he's a lovely guy. I really am. But this is hilarious. You know, we've all done it. We've all watched a martial arts film, and at the end, we're all hyped up. We want to go. We're looking at it. We watch Rocky. We start shadow boxing. We think we're a badass. You go down the pub, you have a few beers. You think you can take this guy on. The list goes on, right? Okay? He's a big man. He's 6'8". He's an athlete. He's got competitive drive, and I'm sure, right, from what he says, he can fight. And I'm sure, according to what I've read online, apparently the man's got a second-degree black belt in martial arts. He said he had his first MMA fight at the age of 18 and reportedly finished his opponent in 97 seconds. He earned the moniker of Little Ali because of his notably fancy footwork during fights that resembled the late Muhammad Ali. He goes on to say, I've been fighting my whole life. That's my first love. That's my first passion. I would love to fight in the UFC after my NBA career. The fighter mentality, the fighter heart, it never goes. I still see the guys right now trying to kick away like Chuck Liddell, Anderson Silva. You got guys that just can't get away from the game, right? Listen, he goes on to say, listen, I rock with Jon Jones, but he says, I would just need a year. My stand-up is great, but we all know about Jon Jones. He's a collegiate wrestler, really, really good on the ground, and that is not my forte. Neither's mixed martial arts, bro. Listen, if you look at Sports Illustrated, they're talking about this guy. Now, Sports Illustrated have done an article on this, and they say that the 6'8", 36-year-old Johnson wants to try his hands at beating Jon Jones. He'll first have to fight professionally in mixed martial arts, despite being a black belt in karate and already being undefeated in kickboxing, 20-0 apparently, and mixed martial arts 7-0. But Johnson's bouts, mysteriously, aren't credited anywhere outside of his interviews. Well, guess what? I had a little look on Tapology. Tapology registers all fights, okay? You don't have to be an NBA player. You don't have to be someone famous. You can be anybody. Have one fight. You will be on Tapology. You will be on the Sherdog database. But when I go to Tapology, there's lots of James Johnsons. James Johnson 0-0 out of Las Vegas. James Johnson 2-1. James Johnson 3-0 amateur. James Johnson 1-5. There's none that are 7-0. There are none that are 6'8". There's none that are basketball players, right? This guy's having a laugh. He's out of his goddamn mind. But hey, God bless him. God bless him. God loves a trier, okay? Now, all jokes aside, as I say, I don't know this guy. I'm sure he's a lovely, lovely guy. Got nothing against him, but it is so hilarious. That is like me saying, granted, if I was a foot taller. Oh, no, not a foot taller. 4 inches taller. That's like me saying, listen, give me a year. I will learn how to play basketball. Even though I've only got one eye and no depth perception whatsoever. I've got the feet. I've got the skills. I've got the cardio. I've got the will to win. It's nonsense. It's stupid, okay? This guy's fights can't be found anywhere. Even if he is 20-0 in kickboxing, we all know someone that's a British kickboxing champion or a regional kickboxing championship. And when you look at the fights, there were 7 people in a sports hall, you know what I mean? And the opponent was well out of shape and never trained in his life, and they get given a big shiny medal and a belt. And all of a sudden, they're a champion, right? We see it all the time. And this started probably because of that YouTuber, Bradley Martin.
You think you beat me in a street fight?
Huh?
You think you beat me in a street fight?
You in a street fight?
Yeah.
You're a podcaster, brother.
Okay, he's like 265 pounds. He's jacked out of his mind. He's never trained a day in his goddamn life. He thinks he can beat Demetrius Johnson. He thinks he can beat Nate Diaz. And that guy is out of his goddamn mind as well. Look, listen, we've seen this a little bit. We saw with James Toney, right?
We're in the UFC. I want to show them what real fighting's all about.
The boxing legend, the heavyweight champion, came over to the UFC, fought Randy Couture, got taken down, ankle picked, and choked out within seconds.
Realistically, even if he's been training 9 months, that's real short order to pick up everything you need to know from mixed martial arts.
And that was an actual fighter, okay? You know, listen, it's great. The sport of mixed martial arts is getting so popular, but Jon Jones is the greatest of all time. Jon Jones is undefeated. Jon Jones will be fighting Jon Jones will be fighting Stipe Miocic at Madison Square Garden against the greatest heavyweight of all time, okay? So listen, I mean, I don't need to tell you about Jon Jones. And on top of that, Jon Jones is round the bend. He's a little bit crazy. He's got that nasty streak in him. And whether or not you want to criticize him for it, and of course, he's done some things that are very, very bad. He's put on some amazing fights, and that meanness, that fucking craziness that he has, that helps you in a fight. And I'm sure this basketballer's flipped out on the tennis court, on the basketball court, should I say. I'm sure he's got a real reputation, right? But you ain't going up against Jon Jones. No way. The other baddest man on the planet, Tyson Fury. He said that he would take Jon Jones.
I heard him say that Jon Jones could fuck me up if we went in the room together. I don't think so. Not a man born from his mother can fuck me up in a room on our own. Whatever happens in that room, I'd be walking out. Not a fucking problem.
And everybody laughed at that. And that's a guy that is 6'9". That's legit the best boxer in the heavyweight division, the best heavyweight of his generation. A man that has incredible speed, incredible cardio, that is way heavier than this Johnson guy and is actually a fighter. Jon Jones would take him down pretty quick. Jon Jones would have a field day. He would submit him. He would kick him to death. He would literally just do whatever he wanted, apart from box, okay? You don't want to box with Tyson Fury. Simple as that. The man's ridiculous, okay? And again, if the tables were turned, we've got that coming up soon. Francis Ngannou, Jon Jones. Listen, Tyson Fury's going to have a field day with him. So it's not a knock on Tyson Fury, but horses for courses. Stick to your court. The basketball courts, right? No one's bouncing balls in octagons. The only thing that's getting bounced is your head all over the place by vicious elbows from Jon Jones when he takes you down with relative ease. Now, let me tell you, apparently he's done a bit of jiu-jitsu. And that's all well and good. Competitive jiu-jitsu is very different from the flowery, powery stuff you do in the dojo.
If you hit someone hard enough with ki, which I will certainly not do today, you can stop the heartbeat.
Say!
Right? Doing it in the octagon, doing it in a mixed martial arts contest where people can punch you in the face, elbow you in the face, that is very, very different, okay? But let's just assume that he can do that. He can't wrestle, okay? And a year, he said, give me a year. No chance. Wrestling takes years and years to master. I started doing Japanese jiu-jitsu when I was 8 years old. I didn't start doing any wrestling until I was training professionally as a mixed martial artist. You know, Japanese jiu-jitsu utilizes a lot of judo, hip throws, orgoshis, also togaris. I know the Japanese terminology because you got to do. I'm a black belt in Japanese jiu-jitsu. But even though I'd done all that, learning to wrestle was very, very hard. Even though my mind and my brain was already formatted to learn grappling, learning wrestling, making it work in a competitive environment is really hard. And I'll just say this right now. Learning jiu-jitsu is easier than learning to wrestle. Wrestling's a much harder art to learn. Simple as that. We can all lie on our back and do an arm bar in 5 seconds. There's no way you can single leg someone and put them down on the ground. It takes a long time, and it seems like a weird language that they're speaking. I remember trying to do my first single leg. I'm thinking, this doesn't work. This is bullshit. But it does. But it takes a while. Certainly takes longer than a year. Certainly when you're going up against the greatest of all time, the best fighter that we've ever seen in the 30-year history of this beautiful, magnificent sport. Anyway, God bless this guy. Right? Fair play. I'm sure he's the type of guy you wouldn't want to meet down a dark alley. He's 6'8", he's a badass, and he's had 20 fights that I can't find anywhere. They're not on Tapology. But go on with your bad self, bro. Have yourself some fun. Take it easy. Subscribe. Ring the bell. And I'll see you soon.